time you visited the elementary school? Chuck?
Just recently for the reading program, I visited Roosevelt and was in the reading classes. I would like to visit more, and I will be one of the first ones to admit I don't visit enough because I also have a full-time job where I work during the day and don't have time to do that. But I try to get to the students as much as possible. I see more of that at the high school level for the crew stuff where I volunteer than I do the elementary schools. But I have been in recently.
I have to admit that over the past year, I really haven't been to the elementaries. I was there and volunteered at the June Fair last year, but I've had a project at the office that has consumed me, and this year has been extremely unusual. But I have, in this past February, helped out at a couple of fundraisers at the high school level. But I will admit that I have not been in the buildings, but I have had contact with staff and parents and families of those buildings to know what is going on. And the district is very good at keeping us informed about everything that is happening. And
I'm there every day because I have children in the elementary school, and because I run a third grade knitting club, and I am regularly at both Kennedy and Roosevelt because one of the people that are very close to me, Jade, she goes to Kennedy, so we go to represent for her all the time.
That wasn't a fair question for Chuck and Carol. I'll go on record. I was there yesterday. I mean, you know, we both have kids in elementary school. Whoever said that, that was not fair. Because obviously we've been there, and you know, I'm there multiple times every week. Sometimes for a half hour, sometimes for the whole day. But you know, I'm ever present. So.
Thanks. The next question is also for everyone. It says, how can we encourage parent and citizen involvement? Be specific. How important is citizen involvement on district committees, and on which committees have you served, and how did it benefit you?
Okay. I'll answer the end of the question first. I have not been on district committees. I'm very upfront with that. I did look into it last year and was a little confused about what they were, and then I kind of missed the deadline, and I just sort of went, okay, I'll just stay involved in the elementary school where I am. But as far as how important volunteerism is in the school, not just parent volunteerism, but community volunteerism, I think it's essential to any district and the success of any district. I remember reading when I was in college about how important parent involvement in a child's education is. And there was this study, and I don't have any doubt, it was some school in inner city St. Louis. There were two schools in the same neighborhood, and one they required parent involvement, and one it just didn't matter. And the kids in the school, and they had the same risk factors, the same socioeconomic and racial background, but the ones that came out of the school where the parents were absolutely required to be involved in some way, shape, or form in the district or in the schools, those kids ended up in college. Those kids got out of their socioeconomic situation. So that always stuck with me, which is why when I was looking for schools, the idea of parent involvement in the open classroom really resonated with me, because that was the type of program I was looking for my child. I would love to really see a surge in volunteerism in terms of when Detroit said, hey, we need volunteers because our graduation rate is so low. Thousands of people raised their hand from all over Metro Detroit. Why couldn't we do that on a much smaller scale? Come on, people. My retired neighbor who owned a business, why can't he be tutoring economics in the high school, or his wife working with reading at Coolidge or wherever?
For me, this issue is really about reaching out to the stakeholders. At Madison High School, we've been going through the NCA accreditation process, and through that, I have had the chance to sit down and have a lot of meetings with business owners, Chamber of Commerce people, and to tap into them. And senior mock election where business owners are coming in and they're going to interview every single senior. This is just one small example, but I'm trying to answer use examples question. But by tapping into stakeholders and not just, I mean, so many parents are just, they have a million things to do, but there's a lot of other people out there in the community that have extra time. And when I asked these business owners if they would be willing to give up an entire day of work and do it, I had an overwhelming response of people going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I absolutely want to do this. And it's really exciting because the kids feel it. The business owners get to meet the kids get to meet the business owners. All it does is strengthen community and build ties, and it's just a win-win. So that would be my specific example. So, you know, and we need to utilize and maybe expand Gretchen's job as the volunteer coordinator to make sure that she has all the resources she needs.
I've served on 5 district committees, but again, not really a fair question in terms of how many, because a lot of those come after you're on the board. But prior to being on the board, I served 2 years on the finance committee, and I think that greatly helped me understand the workings of the district, its challenges, where the money comes from, where the money goes, and the decisions that we have to make as to how it is spent. The second part of that question in terms of parent volunteer, absolutely important. The district values everything that parents do. It's an open door policy for parent involvement. We encourage parent involvement to the point where we now do have an individual on staff that is charged with increasing parent involvement, and Gretchen is, you know, just starting out and doing a great job, but we expect big things from her, and I think she's going to do a great job for us. So the board and the administration understands the need and the value of parent involvement, and we have done something to increase that.
From a community survey, again, I guess just as you talked about going to elementary schools, it is kind of a difficult one. If you haven't been on the board, sometimes you get a lot of experience, as Carol said, afterwards. But before I was on the board, I did serve on the finance committee also for several years, where I was known as the person who would nitpick all the numbers and try and find out why were we paying this much, why are we doing this, why are we doing that. And I continued that after I got on the board for quite a while too. But I have served on all the committees since being on the board. I think the importance of getting background on the committees does help you substantially with knowing what's going on with the board, with how it functions, with how you do your work in the district. One of the things that we're trying to get through for this next year is to add an additional citizen member on every single board committee. So there'll be another board voting member on every committee for this next year. Because part of the problem you do have when a committee comes up every year, and the people who come to chair it and the committee, they start off with the previous members, obviously, and they've done a good job, and they want to keep the same members and keep the experience and keep it rolling. But we need to get some new ideas in every once in a while, and we need to have it happen. It's not a bad thing. It does mean that you have to be a member of a voting, on the voting side of the committee, to join a committee and to participate. All committees are open meetings. Anybody can come to any committee meeting and give any input they want to give at that point in time. But we're asking that they add one more voting member from the community onto that. So parent involvement is a necessity.